Okay, so it's been a minute, as the kids like to say, since we've done an update on anything here on the bench. We can have the buddy build that we're doing with Kurt over at KH Model Works. This is the 78 Corvette we got kind of off to the side here. And we're going to be talking about that one there in a second. But we just wanted to say thank you to everybody for sticking with us. I know we took this last week off sort of because we had family out of town, from out of town, and we had a great time with them. A good time was had by all, and we just really enjoy seeing and talking to people in the flesh again. So that's a big deal for us. But let's get on with the update for this 78 Vet here for our buddy build. So here's the engine, and we originally painted this a lighter color blue, didn't like it, and then went back over it with a darker color blue, and now I like it. I did a flat coat on it also. The transmission and the snout here, we're going to do that in a like a raw aluminum color, so that's going to be masked off and painted here sometime today, I think, and then we'll get on with it. But our modification we made for deleting the molded in oil filter looks really, really good. And we have our ProTech oil filter all painted up. This cute little white guy here. I decided to do it white because I have decals for Wix oil filters, and they're one of my favorite brands from back in the day. So I'm going to use that instead of the orange color we were talking about earlier. That's going to fit in there really good. We have a couple of holes. Wow, I didn't realize how bad those look. Got some really bad holes drilled for our spark plugs. This side's a little better, but yeah, I tried to do the ruler thing and all that kind of stuff, and then silly me, I completely forgot about my center hole drill thing that I got from this guy here. I completely forgot about using this guy until I got to the other side of the engine. That's why the holes are so much better. So there's a lesson learned there. And then some weird little plug thing was in the way, and that just sort of messed up my drilling surface. So, it is what it is. I still have to detail paint the starter and the fuel pump, but we'll do that after we get the transmission and snout painted, and then we'll be able to do our final assembly. We do have the hole for the distributor all set up, and we'll get to that distributor deal in a different video. We'll tell you why here in a second, but as far as the chassis goes, we do have our exhaust system nicely patinaed with a little bit of the Tamiya accent color. This is orange brown, and that's a nice fresh rust color. I also have some of this stuff here, which is just brown, and that translates into a really good aged rust color. And then we have dark brown, which is good for doing dirty surfaces. And we'll show you here in a second what we're talking about. But we have the entire exhaust system patinaed. We're going to do a little bit of heat staining here and there, closer to the engine block actually. But here is the chassis and the frame. And this is what I was talking about when I was talking about using the dark brown for all the aging and stuff on there. I like how that looks. It's a little sheeny. I'll probably do a flat coat over this here pretty soon, but I'm trying to figure out if I want to do some sort of different metallic type of color over the bracing for the spare tire. Not 100% sure on that yet, but we have German gray with some semi-gloss black suspension pieces, and then over the semi-gloss black we have just a gray panel liner wash, sort of just washed over and then wicked away with a cotton bud, and I do like how that looks. So in the engine bay area we have a little bit dirtied up also, engine cross member and all that kind of stuff done too. So I think we are about ready on the chassis. We have our suspension glued in place, so I think we're sitting pretty good there. And interior wise, we went with the blue interior, and this is a Tamiya color. It's AS. Well, let me go find out. Hang on just a second. And with the power of pause, we scooted across the room to get our can. It's AS8 navy blue. These colors are safe to use on styrene models. The PS code are not safe to use on styrene models. Those colors are pretty hot. Those are for the Lexan bodies for RC cars and such. I'm not quite sure why the formulation is different, but apparently that stuff is flexible and can take the abuse. This other stuff doesn't have the flexibility, I guess, to take that kind of abuse. But yeah, Did the blue interior. We have the seats glued in and the center console kind of done up a little bit. We don't have the dashboard quite done yet, but we do have it painted in 2 different tones. Did the navy blue, and then we did a NATO black for the gauge cluster. So I'm doing the gauges that we get here from Best Metal Car Parts, and you notice the gauges are flat on the bottom. So I'm like, oh, can't use my punch set on that. Technically, I can use my punch set and then just go across the bottom, do a flat line. I can probably actually do the flat line first, slice that with the hobby knife, and then punch out the gauge decal. Perhaps I'll tackle it that way. And then this one's a little frustrating because this has everything printed on there for the gauge cluster. It looks like aircraft. I swear it looks like an altimeter on the lower left. But so if we see it, look at the gauge cluster here, you can see how it's all molded and stuff like that. So I think I might actually still try to punch out the gauges from here and just use those rather than try to just cut out that whole thing and try to glue it on top of this. I don't really like how that I don't like how that looks in my mind's eye, I guess is the best way to say that. So that's what we're going to do there. And then I was digging through the resin parts box and I found a nice looking Excel style coil. So I'm going to try using this guy here for the engine bay and the body. Yeah, that takes us to the body. So we've done a lot of work on the nose here. We've done a couple of quick shots of primer so we can blend it all in nicely. A little bit of a hump right there where my thumb's rubbing to try and smooth out. That's not too bad, but up around, that's looking really good. I'll have to do something about this, I think. Unless, actually, I take that back. If I use the neck beard chin spoiler, that covers that nicely, so I'll probably just go ahead and do that. But you see what I mean by about by the neck beard there? Yeah, looks like this guy lives in his mom's basement. I just throw a couple pounds a month. We have an understanding. So that's my take on that there. So, yeah, so there's that. And then for the rear spoiler, the ducktail, ooh. I'm going to just sit this in place here. I'm still in the process of rounding out this area right here so that we can get this to fit in and still not obscure the gas cap cover. Gas cap cover like that. I still want to do a little bit more carving on there to open that up some because we're still sitting kind of far back on the body. But yeah, we're looking pretty good. We did some really good blending back here to get this all matched in. And I know that the original car has a seam line there because this is some sort of fiberglass vinyl, I don't remember what it's called, but some sort of bumper thingy on there, and I never thought that looked cool, so I'm like, I'm just going to blend it all together and then be done with it, and it'll cover the seam with the spoiler. But that's looking really good. Just got a little bit more to do on that, and then we can get into the proper primer that we're going to use, which is going to be our Splash Paints primer. I think we're going to do the dark primer on that guy there, so we can have a nice dark base for the silver color we're going to lay down on that. So that's where we're at with this guy here. We do have updates on the Aerovet coming up sometime soon. And yeah, this guy here, whom we haven't actually talked about in a while, but this WRX guy finally got some clear coat on him I like. And yeah, we got some bowling balls in there we got to take care of. But otherwise, I finally like how this laid down. Being super hot here, we have a lot of problems with stuff flashing over a little too fast, so we're trying to get our mixtures down just right so we can do a pretty good looking clear coat right out of the gun. A little bit more polishing to do on that guy, but we are much happier with how that looks, so we'll do updates on that sometime in the short near time. So in the meantime, everybody have a great rest of your Sunday, and we'll talk to you a little bit later on. Bye now.